It's convenient because really one and the same now. Once realized volatility picks up the way it has, the belly of the Treasury curve becomes the high beta instrument, and that really defines how things go moving forward. And really what it comes down to, it's about timing the equity bottom at the moment. So as you said, it was higher rates first, the steepening of the Treasury curve that caused the equity market anxiety and volatility. But once you move on and equity volatility takes hold, then it becomes where the equity market starts to lead.
Is it an overreaction for equity traders to panic about 25 basis points?
Well, in our view, at the moment, calling an overreaction, it is what it is. We saw this already earlier this year. But if you go back, coming into the year, we used for our year ahead outlook, 1987 is a good example of how we thought this year would play out. That was a late cycle environment. Commodity markets.
Take that back. Take that. What?
So the crash part, leave that aside for a moment. But if you go back to 87, you saw two periods where interest rates started to move higher, even as the Fed was raising rates. Yield curve steepened pretty dramatically. Normally, if you go back and look at the past tightening cycles, let's say something like a 2s/5s Treasury curve, you see something 10 to 15 basis points of trough to peak amplitude in terms of re-steepening. In 1987, you saw commodity markets really going, getting into kind of these late cycle squeezes, and 2s/5s curve steepened 25, 35 basis points. At a time where you had an S&P multiple above 20, certainly that's something for equities to get nervous about. Coming into this year, you had a similar dynamic of emerging markets leading, coming into what we thought would be a late cycle environment, commodity markets rebounding from the tough time that they had a couple of years ago, and Fed already starting to raise rates.
Is the new range 3 to 3.5 on the 10-year or not?
Our thinking is 3%, 340. We were looking for to break the higher yields as we were coming into the fall. The steepening of the curve, we had curve steepeners on. That move unfolded. We're actually now the other way on the yield curve. We faded the recent move of 5s bonds flattener after taking profits on our 2s/5 steepener. And like I said, if you look, and the belly is the high beta part on the curve now, that trade working out and reflattening into the end of the year from 40 basis points, that requires an S&P bottom here.